Hello everybody, Craig Elder here from Utili-Tay, our very first podcast, and luckily enough we have Dean Banks from Har Restaurant and Rory Mitchell from also Dean Banks Group as well. So yeah, big welcome guys, thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Very welcome.
No worries. So yeah, really excited about having you guys here. Just it's a fantastic story. Obviously, I don't know if you want to go into a bit of the background about how you guys
How we help
met.
your business.
Basically, yeah. Thanks very much for your business, yeah, guys. So yeah, a bit of background. How did you guys meet?
So me and Rory met many moons ago, prior to us knowing we ever met.
Yeah.
That sounds a bit funny, but we used to both live in Dundee at a similar time when we were about 18, 19 years old. Both lived at the City Quay without knowing it. We both used to go to a club here in Dundee that everyone we know, the reading rooms. We used to go to Pangea and what was the other night?
Book club and all
Book
that
club.
stuff. Yeah.
So we used to go to all these events together, but we never actually knew. So actually when we met in a working life, Rory was the first ever person I interviewed. And
Ever.
ever. And I didn't know what I could pay him. I didn't even understand really what the current rates were of what his position should be paid. And I had to kind of lie to him really and pretend I knew what I was talking about. And I promised him that, I could pay you a very little amount just now, but along the way, I'd make sure I looked after you. And obviously now Rory's business owner with me in one of Scotland's best groups. So he's done well for himself.
Come on, the best group, the best restaurants going, come on.
No, but so it was actually after we kind of met working life, we were speaking a lot about our childhoods and teenage lives and stuff like that. And it turns out that we used to go to parties together and all this sort of stuff, and we've got the same kind of friend
Same
groups.
pals and that, yeah.
But we just had never connected randomly. So we definitely partied together in the past, but just didn't know it.
Yeah.
I don't put you guys down as regulars at the Mardi Gras back in the day.
No, we were reading rooms or more bands and
Gigs
DJ
and
sets,
stuff,
so wax. I was more like into like electro side, and Rory was more into like your emo
side. Still am.
Well, there was a good crossover because during that time, the emos and the electro people were all pals, and we all partied together, and it was kind of the same sort of scene. So yeah, it was really good fun back then.
Brilliant. So then, obviously, Har
was born, what, five years?
Yeah, 5
It's just turned 5, really.
March, isn't it?
Yeah, in March, so about a month ago, it turned 5. Har was born as a first restaurant of mine, not really thinking we'd take it into the path it's gone now, but I definitely wanted multiple sites, but I didn't know in what way that was, if that was going to be a Har 2 or something like that. So, we've been alive for 5 years. We've done well with Har's changed site. It's in its second home. During COVID, we obviously moved premises to one golf place, which for us was, unbelievable, world-renowned address, one of the most expensive addresses in Scotland. I think it's number 2 this year. So to have a property on a street like that is amazing for the group, for the brand itself. So opening one golf place, opening a restaurant there, and we went straight in with 3 rosettes with AA, Michelin recommended, which is fantastic, great for the staff as well. It shows kind of their hard work and our kind of vision and dedication. But along with that, we opened 6 bedrooms above, and again, I think it was a week open, and they did an inspection. We got awarded 5 stars, so which I couldn't also believe, because the week before, me and Rory in the rooms building the beds, painting the walls, putting up soundproof paneling and installing blinds and
plastering,
and caulking around the edges and like doing all the stuff, all the finishing touches, and so to be awarded those sort of things when you put your all into it is a little bit different to that kind of feeling when you open somewhere, it's already kind of ready to go, you can achieve, but when you've actually put some tears and sweat into it, it's a little bit different.
I remember when you guys were going through the refurb, when I came over and, you know, looking at, you know, wait a minute, I've just found another meter. I think there was about 4 in the end. We had to sort all that stuff out. But yeah, I remember when basically it was gutted. And then all of a sudden, when I went back, when you were sort of halfway through, I thought, it's actually looking awesome already. Yeah. But then all of a sudden, you know, Dean and his, you know, interior design skills, all of a sudden I'm thinking, oh my God, how much is it going to be for a meal in here? And
I think that's a big thing that not everyone realizes either, that, you know, that Har, especially Har, a few other sites have done it as well, but Har was completely designed by me, like no one else, except from Rory's help, obviously, telling me to stop fucking doing that, or
stop buying the things.
We can't afford that yet.
We're 3 times over budget already. Dane, calm down.
You know, building the chef's table took 3 times. Wasn't the right height the first time, then it was too low the second time, and the third time we kind of got it kind of how I wanted it.
3 different sets of chairs for the chef.
Yeah, 3 different sets of chairs, you know, and then once you've opened them, you know, because you're that busy, you don't send them back. You got another £1,000 down the drain sitting in the basement of just chairs sitting there. So, you know, like, because it wasn't so planned out, like having CAD drawings and all this sort of stuff, it was all in here and it would change daily. There's a lot more expense, but obviously we saved money as well. We saved a lot of money doing these renovations, because without having an interior designer, you know, a site manager, all this sort of, you know, different trades as well, us getting our, you know, hands in clearing places out, or ripping things and painting things and all this sort of stuff, just obviously saved a lot of money along the way. You know, we did very well, I think, with the renovations there. We kind of made the renovation cost back in the first year, because we were lucky that the open was in,
and coincide the rooms.
The open was in St Andrews that year, and I think we were selling, some of the rooms were selling at £2,000 a night, obviously due to the location, which obviously amazing for us. But, you know, it's not our normal price, don't get me wrong. We average about £200 to £300, somewhere around there. At peak times, you know, it might be 500. But we were lucky that the open was right there. I don't think we'd be in a position we would be now if it wasn't. So I think
a lot of debts.
Yeah, a lot of things have fallen in place in the perfect time for us as well.
Yeah. No, happy days. So Rory, so what do you do then? You keep it all going, run everything in the background while...
Rory runs the business. Rory does everything.
Everything from, you name it, HR to payroll to obviously discussing things with yourself, utilities, to everything from staffing, recruitment, everything, you name it, making cocktails, to being on shift, to everything in hospitality you can think of. That's what I do on a daily basis, as well as work with Dean, going out and checking sites, all that kind of stuff, really. So it's a many a hat job. Not one hat I wear, or not one hat Dean wears. We both wear every single hat you can possibly think of. Even the first week we opened, I remember the flood in the basement. So a flood in the basement, but it wasn't a flood. It was like a drain, a sewage drain. So it was like probably a foot of water, but it was a foot of sewage. And here's me and Dean down there trying to get into buckets to get rid of it, because it was just like starting to fill up.
In your wellies.
So that's one of the hats we wear, sewage drainers.
I've done it all. I've been in hazmat suits, power hosing, literal shit, which I still think about today in my nightmares. But I think being an entrepreneur is not. There's a glory part that you want to show on social media, and look at this lovely thing we've done. But there's a whole other world to it that people don't see, that we don't really want to showcase. But we have thought about in the past showcasing these things, like a day in the life of us, to show people that it's not all just the glory, because there is a lot of, you know, horrible stuff that goes on that someone has to get done. You know, especially as independent sort of restaurants, we don't have endless pots of money just to call in trades all the time, or engineers, or people to fix things. You have to just go and get it done.
Or learn how to do it.
Or you know, you're sitting at home with your family, sitting down for a meal, you get a phone call and you have to just leave the meal, just say goodbye. You know, and next thing you know, you're in a basement somewhere getting covered in piss because something's broken. but yeah, there's lots to it. It's fun. It's funny. No day is ever the same, which I think is good because I'm a bit deaf. Was a person who never got on at school because I couldn't sit down and just do something.
Yeah.
I have to be proactive. I have to be doing multiple things at the same time, which works well in this business rather than an office job where I think I'd probably get an hour's work done a day.
Yeah.
Because I'd just be sitting playing on my phone the other 7 hours. Yeah. Or doing something else, you know, I'm checking something and then I go down a rabbit hole and I'm doing that and I forget what I'm actually doing. Yeah. You know, so that's the sort of person I am.
I'm pretty much the same, obviously. Being a business owner, you would not want to have a day in the life of Craig Elder. Honest to God. Yeah. Every second sentence is just full of swear words about the energy market. And I know it's hilarious. When you guys like give me a call, I'm thinking, shit, they're opening another one. And literally it's a case of, how many have you got now?
There's 8 units.
Yeah, 8 units.
8. Yeah. That's mental. You know, a lot of people would be happy with 1, but no, not you guys. Yeah, and I'm sure you're going to be opening more and more and more.
Yes, there's definitely a few in the pipeline at the moment.
Yeah. Well, that's winner for me as well. But no, going to the utility sector, obviously hospitality being one of the biggest industries that was affected. You know, you guys just kept on opening things up when, you know, middle of the pandemic, then all of a sudden you throw Ukraine invasion in, and obviously we all had to work together and strategize the best way to do your pricing and your purchasing. And, you know, unlike a traditional broker, you know, I'm not going to swear too much, but most people would be, oh, wicked new restaurant, sign them up for 5 years, massive commission uplift, and then see you later. Whereas, you know, we were doing everything in a strategy. You know, some of them were 6-month contracts. Yeah. You know, because we knew the rates were going to start coming down again. And then some new sites that you got, all of a sudden, you know, Ukraine fully kicked in, market rates were mental. You know, some of the electric rates, when I told you guys, you thought that was the daily standing charge. I'm like, you know what? That's the unit rate. Yeah. You know, over £1 a kilowatt hour on electric. Yeah. So luckily at that point, we obviously knew the rates were going to gradually come down. So we left them out of contract and allowed the market to come down. Then all of a sudden it was, right, now's the time, lock in for a year. And then with more and more restaurants coming on, all the end dates were all over the place, but obviously that's my job, to monitor all of that. Yeah. But working with you guys, it's a breath of fresh air, to be fair.
Well, I think we see everything as kind of an investment. So because we're short on cash flow, because that's how we run businesses. We don't just pump hundreds of £1,000s into a bank account and have it sitting there. So cash flow is always sitting at a low point. So we need to make sure spend is being spent correctly. And if that's in your first 6 months, as you said, I'm not just going to sign a contract and not think about it for a couple of years, because obviously the past couple of years, there seems to be the only people in the industry making money is the government, utility companies and landlords. Yeah. Not all landlords, but those two big ones, the government and the utility companies are raking it in. Yeah. So for us as well, it's trying to play it well enough so we're not giving as much money to utility companies as we should be. Well, not as we should be, as they want to get from us. So playing the game back, I think everyone's just quick to, like even your mortgage rates, you know, do you want to be pestered with it every year, every 6 months? Or do you want to just sign something and be done with it for a couple of years, but actually realise we're actually paying £500-600 more than we should be per month? That's a huge amount of money that we could reinvest in. If that's another member of staff, if that's capex for another site, so much more money. So we're very careful with our money like that. We always want to make our money work for itself rather than paying it to these huge companies just making silly money like British Gas at the moment.
Well, I think they're all as bad as each other. You know, all the energy, you know, suppliers announcing, oh, we made 6 billion this year. Oh, it's down from last year. 6 billion. Yeah. You've got to remember all this energy rate relief from the government, it's taxpayers' money. It wasn't the suppliers' money. So that they're happy to still make the 6 billion in the year. Well, why not give some of that back? You know, whether it's hospitality, because obviously that was a struggling industry. You know, the amount of clients that were coming to us, and we're not going to be in business. anymore. And so many have closed, which is really upsetting. Whereas you guys, you just go and open up another 5.
Yeah, but with the opening 5, I think, like we've seen, because so many are closing, it's even harder to get contracts now, as you know.
Yeah.
Like the utility companies will refuse letters from a landlord, refuse leases to put us on contract because they're wanting the old contract with the higher rates, or the old tenant still owes them money, which got nothing to do with us, completely separate limited company, different lease. But they're so still trying to get raking every penny they can, that they put us under pressure by not even giving us contracts. We had one company, Eon, I'll name them, they came to visit one of the sites 3 times. They sent one of their people around to come check on us, to give us warnings. But in the background, we're trying to sign up to them, and they were refusing, point blank refusing letters from the landlord. Our signed lease, they refused it. When we finally sent a signed lease, then they asked for a letter from the landlord. We're like, we've already provided that. But it's like they're just refusing to take on new contracts as well, which just blows my mind as well.
Yeah, the amount of suppliers that in the middle of the pandemic scenario that basically said hospitality were not having anything to do with it. You know, we were down to about maybe 2 suppliers being the most expensive ones. And we couldn't even get you on them because, you know, brand new company you've set up, you know, you get a standard sort of credit rating very start. And it's, right, I'm going to have to just renew you with who you're on. So luckily got the strategy together, then we got you away after that 6-month period. But, you know, the suppliers that send all these people out, engineers to, you know, try and cut you off and all this stuff, it's not even them, it's third-party engineers. So when you actually speak to them, you know, like sometimes I feel like a mediator with clients going down. And I'm thinking, like, they actually want to actually sign up with the supplier? Oh, right, okay. And then they just go and do one, and they're like, oh, it's fine, don't worry about it. But, yeah, the energy market or industry, it's fucked up. Yeah, it's just put out there. It is.
It's massively corrupt. It's corruption on the highest level ever. And it's in everyone's face. I think everyone at home feels it. Yeah. People are deciding now whether to heat their homes or to feed themselves. Like, that's how bad it's got within kind of home life. Not even the commercial life, that's home life. And they're getting away with showing these huge profits. How that doesn't make sense. So homes are deciding where to feed their children or heat their homes. And these big companies are releasing these huge profits, and the government's sitting back and not doing anything about it. It doesn't make sense. It has to be corruption at the highest level, you know?
Yeah. No, completely understand your thoughts on that. I know it's one of the topics that you love to have a little bit of a rant about. So.
Yeah, well, I think it's more like, you know, you see government parties, you know, I'm not really going to take a side to a party, but I see posts from certain parties in Scotland or certain parties in England, Westminster, saying, oh, we'll do this or we'll do that. But in reality, we all know that it's not true. But they try and just, like I was telling Ruairi one this morning, I read one and vote for us and we'll help businesses sort of thing. And but it's that party that have screwed over the industry here in Scotland, and without helping us in certain ways. So they try to say one thing so the public can read it, but in reality they're doing another in the background, which just annoys me. And I think as a business owner, frustrating, because I think firstly, looking after my businesses, which are staff are my businesses. So looking after people and their families, and, you know, it's not just that we have a chef, it's that chef is in and he's working full time, or she is, and providing for their family. You know, maybe they've got to stay at home with mum or dad, and they're providing for the whole family. So that one member of staff, you're actually providing for maybe 4 people. You know, so when you've got 150, 200 staff, you're almost providing could be 800 people, 1,000 people. You know, hundreds of homes you're looking after. So when these governments and stuff are not helping you, and you're seeing a business on a fine line of potentially failing, you know, you're failing, but it's those people within that business are going to struggle. So that's, you know, that's why I try and shout about, but the governments don't really care. They don't care. And then you're kind of made to look as a bad person because you're a business owner. So no, you've got all the money. You know, you get all the nice things. You're like, no, it doesn't work. We're not a big cooperative where we've got a group of shareholders who get dividends every year. Everything we make, or if there's profits, is reinvested to create another business. And in fact, that new business will create new jobs from people to provide for the family. But also on top of that, create taxes as well.
Yep.
So we keep reinvesting and doing all the stuff. It's not really for us yet. We're building the group, you know, for a long-term future. But right now, you kind of get penalised for doing well as such. Yeah. Doing well in the sense of growing your business, not financially well. Like I personally only take a small wage from the company. Like Ruairi, we take this exact same amount of money from the company each year. You know, we'd probably be able kind of average kind of UK kind of home takings, but that's the kind of lifestyle I live. Just a small home in Cooper, like Ruairi. I've got a family. Rory's got a family as well. But you know, so we're just kind of normal people. But I think you kind of get postponed to be sometimes the bad person. You know, if you're a business owner, you can have it all. Yeah, but that's not the reality of it. No, it's not the reality.
Completely agree with that. So I mean, I'm the same when it comes to income. You know, as much as possible, I put into the company to grow the company, whether it be take somebody new on for, like we've now got a full-time member of staff, Sky, who does social media. And, you know, I didn't think 6 months ago that we would have Sky. Now it's one less thing for one of my other colleagues to do, and they can go and focus on, you know, developing new product ranges, you know, all sorts of things, because we're not just a utility broker. At the very beginning, I agree, that was the only source of income, but we couldn't be seen to be putting a massive uplift in the commissions. Oh yeah, we've just made a couple of £1,000. That doesn't sit well with me. Plus, the company, you know, wouldn't want to use me again, knowing that. You know, a quick audit, oh yeah, that's the best rate. Not the best way to do it. You know, I've probably got, you know, hundreds of brokers that are not going to be very happy with me saying that, but at the end of the day, we're more of a green tech company now. And, you know, everything's going, you know, automation, AI. So we've now developed a product range and brought that in that you've got at heart. New portal's ready next week, by the way. So we'll start showing you that.
That's good.
But yeah, so when it comes to the whole energy market, you know, you're in good hands, everything like that. And, you know, it'd be great to get more calls to say, we've got another one. I'll be like, no worries, no worries. But yeah, massive congratulations on what you've done. And so what are the plans then going forward? Because obviously you've got the other stuff we've not talked about with your gin and vodka range.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so we're looking to grow gin and vodka. Obviously, Lunan Gin has been around for 4 years, 4 and a bit years.
4.5 years, I think, yeah.
So it's kind of lived its life in a nice kind of luxury place of feeding all the restaurants we have, or bars. The house pour will be Lunan Gin and Mont Vodka. But now I want to kind of take it to a more commercial sort of range of, you know, potentially if it's pre-mixed cans or trying to bring the price down so that we can be more approachable in like retail sort of format. You know, at the end of the day, I think, you know, Lunan Gin was built purely as a pet project, not to make a lot of money. It was to have a gin for my own restaurants that was actually premium. What I mean by that is actually premium. You see a lot of gins that say, you know, premium gins and stuff like that. I won't name names, but 99% of them, what they do is it's kind of, there's different technical names for this, but we call it a folding process, where you make a strong cordial. So you say you got 100 litre still, the recipe may have 500 grams of botanics in there, but what they'll do is they'll put 5 kilos of botanics in there, and you make a cordial of gin. Then you distill that. Then you take that strong cordial and you add it to, say, 10 times. So there's be 1,000 litres of raw grain spirit, not in the still, and just mix it all up. And now you've got 1,000 litres of gin from 100 litre still in one batch. So that's what all these majority of the companies do. Whereas Lunan Gin, everything's stilled in that 100 litres. So for every 100 litres, we'll get slightly a little bit more because because it comes out the still at 80 what, about 80% or something like that. I think it's somewhere around there, 85% proof. And you water it down. That's what you do. You water it down to if it hits our 41%. So you get, it's about 180 litres from a still or something like that, which is it's a very expensive process. So for us to retail that is very difficult because it's such a high cost. So like even production wise, it costs us, including duty, which another tax that I hate. But I remember that first first ever duty invoice we ever got, there was VAT on it. I was like, so there's a tax on a tax. That's how it works. Yeah, they VAT your duty, which blew my mind the first time it ever happened. So yeah, so with all that, those costs included, you know, probably costs about £20-something to produce a bottle, including its labelling and all that sort of stuff. So it's quite an expensive product for us. So we want to try and bring that price down on our production costs so we can go retail. And with that, we'll be potentially building our own distill or, you know, investments in the sort of things. So trying to take it to the next level. Because currently we use, it's called a contract distillery.
Yep.
And it's actually one of my good friends, Lewis Scotland. Used to go to school with him in Arbroath High School. And it was after I was on MasterChef, got a wee call, fancy making a gin? Yes, 100%. Came down with like my kitchen larder on his table upstairs, just empty these bags of spices and basically like, let's make a gin from what I cook with. And that's how Lunan Gin was born. And we went down that one full process just to, because we want to also have a premium product in the restaurant.
Yeah.
So actually to be able to call it a truly premium product and know how it's made was good. And that, we've kept it like that. So what we want to keep the quality there, but we want to try and bring the price down by, you know, manufacturing ourselves in the future.
Cool. Touch base on MasterChef then. You just mentioned it briefly there. So, I mean, I love watching it. You know, I saw you on it as well. And some of the stuff that you see on there, I mean, do you feel that you just kept on getting better and better and better and better?
No, it doesn't feel like that. It's kind of, obviously, it's you have to remember it's a TV show.
Yeah.
It's dramatized. They edit it. It's not just like a vlog. It's edited. So, but also when you're filming it, you don't watch yourself. So the only first time you see an episode is after all the filming's completed. About 3 months later, you're invited down to London to have a pre-showing.
Yep.
And that's the first time you ever get to see it. So when you're during the filming process, you don't know how you come across in front of the camera. You don't know if your mannerisms are correct. You don't know if you're looking like a dick or too much of a robot, which I used to get called a long time a robot chef. But so like you don't know until you watch the show yourself. Yeah. So it's kind of, you know, the only time I've really felt nervous, actually a wee bit of butterflies or anxiety and that sort of chesty sort of feeling, was on the final. Yep. Standing in the final, and we're all, there's 3 of us standing there, and Marcus was like, "These are all here for the final." And it was that point there, I was like, "Oh shit, this is actually the final," because it kind of it's
just got a real.
Yeah, it's quite fast paced. Like the first kind of it's filmed over about a 3-month period, but the first kind of few bits you're in, it's maybe a week or 2 between takes and stuff like that. And then near the end, it kind of gets chucked at you. So like you're away in France this weekend, you're down in Padstow this week, and then you're down in the studio this week. And some days you're in the studio for 14 hours, and it's basically just for a 5-minute section on the show.
Right. So
it was definitely like a lot of hours in it, but it was a good experience. It was definitely fun. I'd definitely do it again. I wouldn't. I think what's done for the business is a good stepping stone into launching a business as well. I think a lot of times what I see, even from now watching the show, is that chefs are fickle as well, but you have to be business minded to really take off.
Yeah.
You can't just, like any of these shows, I think, you've got, Britain's Got Talent and stuff like that. If you win, it doesn't mean you're actually going to go all the way. You have to really, really drive it forward, be constantly on it. And I think that's what I did, was just constantly on it. If that was marketing, PR stunts, kind of a bit of the Brewdog media stuff, you you have a small store and you try and make it really big. You know, I think one of our big ones that took us international was the golf one in St Andrews, where when we first opened there was, you know, we'd had loads of bookings coming in, and one night we had a table of 9 and a table of 7 all not turn up, which was about half our covers.
Yeah.
And we didn't have our booking policy we have now. So, you know, I shouted about it on Twitter, and yeah, it went viral, and it was like, they were like talking about it in like news channels and like Australian breakfast shows, and I was getting tagged in like these shows like from abroad, you know, like kind of like This Morning in Australia.
Yeah.
And they're like sitting there all discussing what I've shouted about on Twitter, you know, at the time, you know, X. So that sort of stuff. So those PR stunts we learnt from that they're great. Any media is good media.
Yeah.
And getting your name out. And I remember when that went viral, like our bookings went wild. Like it was full to the brim.
Yeah.
So I think even just like stuff like that is keeping in mind that, you know, you can turn anything into positive sort of stuff. Even like those are obviously negative things, but let's turn a negative into a positive, which it turned out to be.
Yeah. No, happy days. Well, yeah, like I say, guys, thank you very much for coming in. Rory, you've got some sample vodka and gin in the car. Happy days.
Yeah.
Leave that with me and I'll write a review for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do a little team session night out. Also, what I was going to say was I'm going to pay for a meal for 2 at Har. Any, you know, people that are viewing this podcast that, you know, like and comment, you know, on the podcast, be nice, obviously, everybody out there. Yeah. You know, meal for 2. Anyone that likes and comments, you know, go into a draw and then we'll announce who's going to get it. The vodka and gin staying here with the staff, though, I have to say. Yeah.
I'm sure I could organise for the winner a lovely gin and tonic on the arrival as well. So.
Yeah.
Oh, happy days. No worries. Right. So, again, thanks very much, guys, for coming in. Yeah, so we're going to be having another podcast every month going forward. Different industry each time. So next month it's going to be a chap that I've known for quite a few years, Danny Millership, who's representing the finance sector. He's an IFA, going to talk about all sorts of tax avoidance, which I'm sure the guys here, you know, would love to have a watch as well for. So yeah, see you next month, guys.